Hello everyone and welcome to the Dirty Side of the Grid podcast, where we've turned up late to qualifying, but seeing as like 50% of the grid has now rejected me from placements next year, we got sent to the front of the grid, so we'll be starting in pole position. My name's Mohammed and I'm with my co-host Yusuf, as always, and this will be podcast 16, where we'll just talk about news and testing, stuff that's going on, I've been a bit busy, we've both been a bit busy, but it's mainly my fault. We've been a bit behind in terms of stuff, so we're just going to catch up quickly on all the stuff that's happened and discuss the new cars.
To be fair, we were waiting for all the liveries to come out to kind of sit down and talk about what has happened. All the F1, like, the first week's testing is done. So we've got one more week of testing in Bahrain before the first race. And that one's actually going to be like live, you can watch it and stuff. So that'll be a bit more interesting than this week.
Yes, weirdly this week seems like, this period seems more dry than most of the winter break. I feel like there was more to talk about in the winter break than there is now.
Perhaps, I guess probably we knew what we were going into for next year. Generally speaking, from previous years, you kind of knew what was happening. Whereas this year you're going into new regulations, new issues, and you don't kind of know what is really going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like everyone kind of guessed what they thought was going to happen, and then it's just kind of like, okay, what else are we going to talk about? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not much to talk about because you kind of, like, the engine's frozen, the cars are kind of, everyone's developing, but you don't really know what's happening. And so you're kind of in this limbo, I guess.
I guess the regulations are old as well.
Yeah, I guess if Drive to Survive came out a few weeks ago, that would have.
It's meant to be soon as well, isn't it? Yeah.
It's coming out in like 2 weeks.
So I'll have to come up with a review for that in a little bit.
At
least that'll be something to talk about.
Yeah, I guess they have to put it out like at this time, so it's like 2 weeks before basically the season starts, so it's still kind of relevant by then. Because if you put it out early February, by the time the season starts, no one cares anymore, basically.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll start off with the liveries then, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's the best place to start.
If you go from like alphabetically or top down, I guess we can kind of comment on what has gone through.
We can try and take note of like our favourites. We'll do it that way.
I think it's fairly obvious which ones are good and which ones are horrific.
Yeah, but I think actually it's very obvious which the ones are good.
But the worst one is also very obvious.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so we've got a picture of all of them here.
Yeah.
Is this done alphabetically?
No, you can just start from the top one.
Okay, we'll just start with, so the first one in the list that we've been given, Williams.
Williams it looks nice.
Yeah.
My only issue is the red in the car. Like, if it was different shades of blue only, I would have understood that and I would have really liked it. Especially if, like, the predominant blue was perhaps a bit lighter, it's very dark.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I'm not exactly a big fan of that, but I can get that. My only issue is the red. For me, that kind of V of red in the front and the nose just ruins the whole car for me. I know it's like just a strip of red.
That sounds like a lot, but no, you're completely right. I feel like the side angle's beautiful, the way it's stuff is so good, but the front angle is so bad. Do you know what the funny thing is? You know Tomo?
Yeah.
He redesigns all the liveries. I don't know if you watched them.
I liked his Williams.
Pretty much all of his redesigns are like, they all just look so good. I don't know how he does it, but I think he's meant to be some sort of, not graphic designer, but I think he has some background in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they're all really, I'll link that one. That'll be the first link of like 12 that I have to put in the description. I mean, okay, the next one is hard to have an opinion on, but Red Bull.
It's slightly different to last year. I'll give them that.
Is it?
Yeah, slightly different. The yellow is a bit lighter. The nose is quite different. In terms of, I think there's a bit more yellow on the nose.
Right.
But it's Red Bull, so it's kind of like, it looks basically pretty much the same.
Yeah, I don't think. Do you think they'll ever change it?
But that's the thing, like for Mercedes or say McLaren and stuff, the like the aim of it is a marketing for the main company, and the main company is a cars company. Whereas with Red Bull, the main company is a beverage company, and literally every single like Red Bull owned, like say whether it's club or Formula One team or whatever, they all have the same colors, everything. So no, I don't see them really changing it because it's used for marketing for that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I
If they
understand.
change
like,
it,
having
we
the
lose
rules and
kind of
stuff.
the value of it, so to say.
I guess, but I feel like it's a good opportunity at some point, right? Like to maybe, obviously, this would have been a good one with the new era of cars, but maybe like at another point they might change it to.
I don't see them doing
something
a
else.
full redesign, but I hope that
No,
they
yeah.
do kind of like they run one-off liveries, but say for like 6-7 races out of a 23 race calendar, or like say 5 races, they run one-off liveries. So say one in Austria, one here, one like if they spread them out throughout the year. So one on the first race of the season, 5th, 10th, 15th, whatever.
Yeah.
That would make it fairly interesting. One on the last day of the season, you know, like a kind of that type of thing. It would, because they come up with really nice liveries, and they don't actually have to redesign the cars. Basically, every year looks.
Yeah, it's alright, but
So-
I don't know. I feel like a lot of, at this point, the longer they leave it, the more impact it's going to be if they do actually end up changing.
Yeah,
So
but
that's something.
I think every Red Bull fan kind of they have a dilemma where they love like as in they want Red Bull to change their livery, but at the same time they have to defend their team about how this is iconic and it's
Yeah.
amazing and all of that stuff. They did change this year some of the colors, so the blue's a bit darker from what I can see, the yellow's a bit lighter, stuff like that. But it still looks.
It's always minimal, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, onto another team that's kind of, well, they changed, but they've gone back to their usual, nothing really unexpected, I guess, with Mercedes.
I've always been a fan of the silver livery.
Yeah.
And I'm happy they've gone back. They've changed it slightly, but the silver and kind of light blue and black just it's iconic. Like
Yeah.
for me that's like them going back. I'm very happy with that. Like even with the red part, they always had kind of that.
I don't like the red, to be honest.
I don't mind that as much.
I feel like it could have done better. Like, it looks a lot like the 2019 car, and
But
I
that's the
prefer
thing.
the 2019 car.
The Mercedes pretty much looks like the older liveries.
It does, but I just something about this one I don't like as much. Like the red underneath the rear wing, the red at the top, which I know they've had for the past couple of years, but even then the red at the top I don't really like. It just seems a bit blocky. Like there's the silver, then there's a bit of red just shoved in there somewhere, and then even the blue like
probably 'cause of,
line
like,
that goes
abs and
through it,
stuff.
it's not as good.
No, I actually like the blue, like the light blue with the black because it's have a lot of black at the bottom. So I really like that. I also like they have the, you know, the Mercedes
stars at
symbols,
the back.
the stars at the back, and they have like that one
Yeah.
red one for Nikki and stuff. That I like that stuff.
I like the concept, but I don't think it's as good as some.
I think it could have been applied a bit better.
Yes, that's what. Yeah,
But I would put it in kind of one of the better designed cars.
it would be. Yeah, we'll do after we've done all 10. I'd say we do like a favorite and a worst. And then,
McLaren.
I mean, I've said what I thought about McLaren. The blue and the orange I don't like, but I'd say this one's definitely an improvement from the other ones.
I'd
I
say
prefer this
I
instead.
prefer this light blue over the dark blue of the previous kind of two basically, and I prefer it over the full block orange they had like.
Oh god, yeah, no, that
The
was
first
so
one.
bad.
So I'd say this one is kind of like in an era kind of they've had like a few orange ones. I'd say this one is kind of the best one of the past few.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that.
I actually really like the shade of blue they used. If they'd used it on the silver car they used to have, but they're not gonna go silver because Mercedes
they
is
can't
silver
really,
essentially, or chrome essentially. But if they had like a chrome car with that shade of blue, because it's a lot lighter than the Mercedes shade, it would
It's
have looked
louder, yeah.
really nice. It would have looked really, really nice. So that's one thing. Like I really like the shade of blue, especially because it's now on the tires as well.
Oh yeah, that's a nice touch.
So it goes together.
Yeah.
I'd say orange. I'm not really like. I don't like orange.
I like the shadow livery though. The one they did for the
Oh,
East
like
Coast
where it's
whatever it is.
mostly black. And
Orange and black. The way they did that was really nice.
Mm.
But I guess if they have to put the blue in, they did well with the blue.
Yeah, I'd say it's mostly they're stuck to orange because, like, if you go back to the event where they released the car, essentially it was the F1, the Indy car, I think it's like XWR series,
There was the
Extreme Racing
Extreme
Team.
E, yeah.
Yeah, and then the last one, I don't remember which one it
I
was.
think it was just esports.
Perhaps. Oh no, there was another car I remember.
There was 4, you're right, I can't remember what the
But
4
basically they all had, like, IndyCar has to have orange in it, so I think that's probably why McLaren kind of had to stick with it, in that sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Formula 1, IndyCar, Extreme,
It's,
esports. Yeah.
Probably esports then. Next,
Well-
Haas. Unless you have something to say about McLaren, but I'd say McLaren is,
No, yeah, that's
it's
all
fairly
just
nice.
me.
Like, I like it. I was impressed by
With
it.
the
and
colours
also-
they used, I think they did a decent job, like
Yeah.
the style and stuff.
I'd say like they're not as much tied to colours as other teams.
True, but I guess orange is definitely, they're trying to make it their defining era now.
Exactly.
Like after the chrome and stuff, after they've got rid of everyone.
Because
switched
they had
out
the
Zach
white and
Brown.
kind of red, and then they transitioned into chrome and kind of orange or red kind of, and now they're going into full on orange and
Yeah, I think they'll keep this for a while.
yeah, probably. Unfortunately.
Right, Haas. Well,
We do have to comment that essentially the Russian colours, let's say,
oh yeah.
the company have been removed from the car. So now the livery that came out is slightly different to the livery they've been running at the end of testing because of the invasion of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So now basically the Haas car is white with just the red being the Haas kind of logo. So we'll comment on both though.
Do you know what it is? Like, even the plain white car is ugly, to be honest, I can't lie.
I actually think it looks a lot better than the other one.
I think it's an improvement. So like originally, if we go with the original one, with the Russian flag.
I
on it and stuff,
didn't like that.
I think it's even worse than last year. Like they just, even the car itself is ugly. Like it.
No, see, that's the thing. The car itself, I think the car itself looks ugly. Like, I totally agree with the car itself looks ugly.
Yeah.
But I think the livery with the white actually looks nice, as in it's a very clean design.
Yeah.
You can tell that
it looks
there was a lot
alright.
of stuff there and it was all like wiped away.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually tell that. But as in terms of, I'm not a fan of like the branding, the blue branding at the front of the nose and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit.
And like the numbers and stuff. But in terms of the livery, it's okay. The design of the car looks horrible. Like the side pods look weird.
Yeah, it
I
just
say it's
all looks a
probably,
bit
like,
uncomfortable, to be honest.
It's probably one of the worst ones.
Ooh.
I'd probably say one. No, the worst one is fairly obvious, but this one I'd rank
Yeah,
at the
we'll
most.
get onto that in a bit. But
This
yeah,
is
this one's
fairly
not great. The white is dropping the sponsors is definitely an improvement, but it did take an invasion of a country to get that. So we'll leave that there, I guess. All right. Well, Ferrari's next. What do you reckon?
I know you wanted red and white, no red and black. I think I agree with you. The red and black is, they look a bit like the McDonald's, I guess, customer service, the t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
People were joking about that, but I do see it.
Yeah, the picture wasn't great. I mean the t-shirt or whatever.
I'm happy with Santander being back. The red and black, I'm not a huge fan of the livery. I think it looks alright. I don't think it looks like I was waiting for something, like, I'm actually a fan of them when they transition from white, like red and white to red and black. I was a fan of that.
When was that?
A few years back.
2019.
Yeah,
Oh,
something.
I just voted for Alpine.
It's stuck now. I was a fan of them transitioning to red and black, but this red and black, I don't know. It doesn't look right.
You like the 2019 Ferrari?
Yeah, it looked nice. It was different from the previous cars because all the other years were just red and white, red and white, red. And so I thought the addition of black, I thought it looked nice.
Right. So you're not a huge fan of
This one is just the
Ferrari.
application in red and black is just, I don't know, I don't like it as much.
That's funny because I'm the complete opposite. Like I don't like the 2019 one, but as much as I was hoping for red and white, I think the red and black looks good on this one. Like I actually quite like it. The top is a bit weird. I don't know why they did the thing with the 75. It's a bit off-putting, but the rest of it is very simple. Like it's just black front wing, black rear wing, black bottom, and then the rest is red.
Yeah, but it's nothing like.
It's nothing hugely special, but it just.
But that's the thing.
It just
like,
works.
I like how McLaren essentially used this. Like if you go to the top, you can look at like Williams essentially used this to introduce a totally new livery
Yeah.
They're essentially looking at kind of new era, new me, essentially. McLaren used it as the same platform where they're using kind of more traditional their colors, but they've kind of revitalized it. They've changed the shade of orange they're using, they changed the shade of blue they're using, added way more black in, like everything, like the McLaren and the Williams look new. The Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari could have done something like that where they kind of went out and changed the livery, but the livery looks basically the same, they just put like a bit more black.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I mean, they didn't have a lot to work with based on.
No, but like if
Ferrari,
you just put like Ferrari, say like in black, say on the side, I don't know. Like if you do something different about it, like say like if you have like a shading of 75, I don't know. Like I'm not good at this.
No, I see what you're trying to say.
But if they do something different, you'd be like, okay, you know that looks good. You know, it looks different. Like I was impressed by the next one, McLaren. Aston Martin. I was very impressed by their car. Like the yellow, the shading of yellow they're using, essentially their car suffered from being the color is very matte last year, so it wasn't wasn't photographing very nice. So they went for kind of a very vibrant shade of green, which is kind of their iconic color. But they also introduced like lime color, which looks really really nice. I was very impressed by them because they came up with something totally new.
So I don't know. I wouldn't say totally new though, is it? Like I
guess
get the change, but it's
different.
No, but they dropped the pink because of the sponsor,
Exactly, but when you look
changed
at
it back to lime green. Which
exactly,
is
but
what it
when
was
you
meant
look
to be
at
before.
it this year, the car does not look the same because even the shading of green is slightly different, like ever so slightly different. That you don't kind of like. It looks so different though. Like the car looks different.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't think it looks hugely different. I get what you're trying to say with it, but like I wouldn't say. I understand wanting Ferrari to make radical changes, and they haven't. But I wouldn't say Aston Martin.
Never gonna make radical changes.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't say Aston Martin did that.
It's different though. It's different. I guess
It looks
probably.
good. I'm a fan of it.
I guess it's probably because their car looks like Ferrari's car looks. It came out at the end, so it's kind of like you grasped what the cars were gonna look like, whereas the Aston Martin it came out at a time where you were unsure how it's gonna look, and it had those kind of grills, and it looked very different to every car that came out and every car that came out afterwards, and so it kind of stood out in between all the cars, and I think it still stands out as kind of being very different from everyone else.
Yeah.
The Ferrari doesn't kind of quite do that.
I mean, other than the bathtubs on the side, like it's.
Some
Like,
of
that
them
was
have-
definitely like causing a lot of conversation.
Yeah, I think some of them have very ugly side pods. Haas especially.
Yeah, that's true.
And Alpine. Alpine is the worst looking car.
Alpine's next. Well,
Alpine's the worst looking car on the grid. It's not just in terms of like livery, in terms of actual design. Their side pods look ugly, like ugly, man. And their colors are just like bad. They just changed the red and put pink, and like pink with BWT, and it just looks horrific.
and the red on the sponsor as well just doesn't help. Like, I don't know. I didn't think they could get worse than like the weird like, you know how it looked really top heavy last year because it had the massive like bulge behind the air intake.
Yeah.
It still just looks a bit.
It looks kind of similar to last year's car.
And then the all pink one, like
That's horrific. I was confused. I was seeing two liveries, and then I was like, "Oh, they're actually gonna run two liveries this year." And then you look at them, and you're like, "They're both literally like worse than each other." Like you're like, "So which one's worse?" You know, like talking about which one's better. Like,
yeah,
which one's? That's the most horrific looking car on the grid, literally by a margin. So like all cars are here, Alpine's here.
You really hate that.
Bro,
would you say if they had like the best car last year?
No.
No, last year.
Last year, I don't think they had the best car. Who had the best car?
It was definitely one of the best last year. I feel like they've fallen a lot.
I guess last year it was one of the.
It was definitely in the conversation.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of people's favourites.
But this year it's just no.
Yeah.
If someone says that's their most favorite car, they don't know what they're talking about.
It's bad because blue and pink isn't even that bad of a combination sometimes.
Like I'd say, McLaren did better with the colors they had because
Yeah,
orange and
yeah.
blue doesn't go together. But they did a much better job with that, where people are actually talking about how the car looks good, whereas pink and blue goes together.
There's potential.
And
Yeah.
now you just ruined it. Like the way they designed it looks like, what are you doing? Like, I don't get that. Like it just, they had such potential, and we all knew it was gonna be pink in it.
Yeah.
And they had
of course.
months to design this, and then they did this, man. This looks like they didn't know that Otmar Safnar was gonna come with BWT, and they were going for a different design. And last minute, they're like, oh damn, we have to put the pink in. And they just kind of slapped it all in.
The worst part is it makes BWT look like a squeeze company. Like I wouldn't be surprised if BWT just sold bubblegum. Like if they were literally just trying to compete with Extra selling like chewing gum or like those bubblegum companies and stuff, like I wouldn't. Well, I think they sell. It's meant to be like a water company. I don't know if it's water treatment or actual like bottled water. But I can't be bothered to Google it. There's no point. Alpha Tauri is next.
Alpha Tauri is one of the actually most disappointing ones. I'd say it looks good.
Yeah.
But people are talking about, it looks amazing, it looks this. Bro, they just switched their colorway from last year. It still looks good. Like, I was impressed by their colorway last year. I was a big fan. I thought it looked really one of the better cars on the grid. And this year it still looks really nice, but it's kind of like, are you that lazy where you just kind of reverse and that's it? You reverse the colors and leave. But I do appreciate how they know they have the Alpha Tauri written on the side.
I was about to say that looks so good.
And so that's kind of like, if Ferrari had something like that, like Ferrari written or something, where it made it look different, you'd be like, okay, like the black and red looks really nice. I guess also like the shading of the Ferrari is darker this year, which I'm not a huge fan of. I like the kind of
the glossy
red.
was so much nicer.
Like the red from like the years before was so like, I'm not a fan of the dark red. Right?
Yeah.
Alpha Tauri looks good. Disappointing in the sense that they could have done way more, because they don't have to stick to the kind of Red Bull branding, and they usually come out with kind of like like crazy stuff, and then they just switch. They literally press reverse. They're like, okay, come on, bye.
They could have done more with it. It's still nice. Yeah, I just agree with what you said, to be honest. It still looks nice, but
it looks lazy.
I wouldn't go that far, but
lazy.
It could have done a bit more.
Lazy.
Maybe they're trying the era thing where they're just gonna stick with this colorway and this design.
See, I actually hate that. I hate the idea of just sticking to one livery for like 6, 7, 8 years or whatever it is, because it's just boring. Like, you kind of like I think this is an issue with Formula One, where liveries are basically the same for like 6, 7 years, and you don't see anything new, and you're like. But a big selling point is like the cars looking really nice. Yeah. If you have the same livery year on year, it's just boring. Like put a different livery, Like if every year they have to put a totally new livery, be like, yeah, that's fun,
That's a regulation.
It makes the winter break interesting. Yeah,
true. It makes car launches interesting. Some of the car launches were so boring.
Bro, they're all very boring because you already know what they're gonna do. I think this year people were more interested in the car is gonna look very different. From the next few years, the car is gonna look pretty much like fairly similar. By the end of the year to the year afterwards, we look the same. The colorway is gonna be the same. The design is the same. The Mercedes car, this one, looks exactly like how it looked. Like, I'm a fan of the silver, and I'm a fan of them going back to silver. Yeah. But it looks exactly how it looked from like 2014 onwards to today. Yeah. Except those 2 years, essentially. You get what I mean? It's the same exact car. Like, I was a fan when they actually moved straight to black. I thought that was a really nice thing. The first year they did it, I was a huge fan. Because the car looks so different. Like, I'm not talking about the message. The message is a good thing. But I'm talking about, like, the color looked really nice. The car looked really nice. It was so different from what you're used to that you're like, that actually looks sick. But this year is just like, I am a fan, but it's fairly
No, I get what you mean, yeah, because even then, even with the black, they kept the blue stripe, so it was still pleasing the sponsors and all of that, like, so it's still possible. Nice. But yeah, now it's just, I don't know,
saying that they might go to like yellow, be like full yellow car, like,
yo, there should actually be a team that goes yellow, like, no one's using that colour.
Alfa Romeo looks decent.
Yeah, I don't mind it, like, the white and red, you can't
I like the camo one more.
Yeah, no, if that was
the camo one looks really nice, to be fair.
It did.
But it's computer generated, so the livery they use, the camo one was done by one of the sponsors, essentially. It was kind of like a sponsor thing. But I think it looks nice. I appreciate the fact that they went with a kind of a totally new livery in a sense. So it's very, very, very different to the ones from last year. Do you get what I mean?
How is it that different though?
Like in terms of the look of it is very different. So it's,
Yeah, I guess because they could have done what AlphaTauri did, but I guess they did go different with like the.
it's very blocky in that sense. Because usually, like last year, it was just fully white with like a few stripes of red. Now red is kind of like it's mostly red with a bit of white.
Yeah, they've stolen the glossy red from Ferrari now that they're not using it, which is definitely a good idea.
I think that shade of red looks way nicer than the shade Ferrari is using.
Yeah, definitely.
If Ferrari used that color with the black, I think it would look a lot nicer.
I feel like Alfa Romeo might just turn into the Ferrari I wanted to see, like the red, the white, the gloss, like.
But it has a bit too much white, I guess.
Yeah, the white.
And I'm not a fan of how the white is just kind of like in the middle. It looks like one of those, like designs that Word generates for you, or like PowerPoint generates for you, where it's just like there's that big block of. It kind of looks like that.
I see that. Yeah, I do see it. I don't mind it, but I see what you mean.
I think it looks good though.
Alright, so what's the worst one right now
Alpine.
out of it? Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I think if we go from worst to best, I think that would be easier.
Wait, no, we're not gonna do all 10, are we?
No, like as in quick one. So I'd say Alpine's the worst.
Yeah.
Second worst is Haas, obviously. Second worst is Haas by far. Third worst is go down.
Is there more under here? Oh,
Third worst is I don't want to say AlphaTauri, but it's kind of like AlphaTauri, isn't it? Just because.
What, before Williams?
I'd say Williams. Okay, Williams third worst.
Yeah.
Then AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Ferrari. No, sorry. McLaren is Red Bull is like fifth from the bottom. Then Ferrari, then Mercedes, McLaren, and I'd say the best one is Aston Martin probably. I'm a big fan of the line because it reminds me a lot of the white line.
The what?
The brown.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
It's the same shade. It's pretty much the same shade of lime.
It's nice, yeah.
It looks very nice with the green as well.
I'm pissed because I think they were meant to use it last year, but they got BWT like last minute, so they switched the colours around.
But this
So
makes
I'm glad
it
they brought it back.
this makes it a lot nicer since they were like okay, and then for the new generation they just used the lime, and I think it makes this year's reveal so much better in that sense.
Yeah, true. Because now they can at least say they changed something,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it just complements each other a lot better.
I'm interested to see if Haas gets another sponsor on board essentially before they'll probably get another sponsor on board before the season starts.
Or would they though? Like, who would sponsor Haas at this point?
If they do, the livery might change. That could be interesting. So that's
True, yeah.